Hi! Welcome back to Books, Tea and Biscuits with me, Jojo, and
me, Kim.
And we're at Kim's today. As you may or may not know, this is her library, or a bit of it anyway. And today we're going to be reviewing, I'm going to be reviewing Harlan Coben, Long
Coben,
Lost.
I think it's pronounced Coben.
Coben.
Yeah.
Coben. Long Lost. And you're reviewing
Alice Feeney's Daisy Darker. I don't have the physical copy because that's one I did listen to via audiobook again, so I'll put the cover here.
And we're both going to be reviewing Into the Water by Paula Hawkins.
Yep.
So to start with, this one, Long Lost. This is a very strange book, actually. The beginning is fairly mundane, in respect that a chappie who's in bed with his missus, well, his other half, gets a phone call from an ex sort of girlfriend. It was friends with benefits sort of thing, and she'd left him years before and they'd not had any contact, and she phones him, she needs his help. So he goes to Paris. And it appears she had a call from her ex-husband, who she's not spoken to in about 10 years, give or take. And he asked for help, and they'd arranged to meet, but he never turned up. So she asks for her ex-boyfriend to come because he's good at finding people. Straight away, you get the police, the French police. They meet him at the air. When he goes to get on the plane, he's actually searched. When he gets off in Paris, he's searched. He doesn't know why, because there's nothing there. He's not taken anything with him. He actually is an agent, an entertainment agent, but he's very good at finding people. So they collar him straight away. Two French. They're not police. They're not gendarmes at all. They're not CID. They're higher up than that, and they allow him to go. They say, OK, we will maybe contact you at a later date. And what he doesn't know is they've bugged him, so they can follow him. So this is quite an involved story. You find out that part of her life was ruined because her daughter died in a car accident to which she was responsible for. She always sees herself as being responsible for it. And though her ex-husband never really blamed her at all, it was something that drove them apart, really. And she finds out by certain things that happen that though her daughter really is dead, because they have to go and do a DNA, she's also alive. Yep, also alive. This is a very rare book indeed. You normally have terrorists when it's to do with, army personnel, ex-SAS people who've become black ops, or, security guards like Chris Ryan and Andy McNabb's books, and one or two other people's books who are all to do. You expect that, but you don't expect it in a book like this. It's very involved. Not graphic as such, but it's something that when you read and you think, oh my God, that could possibly happen. It could possibly happen. I don't really want to ruin it for people. You just need to get this book. I do definitely. There are some lighter moments where you can imagine if it was on a television programme, they would be the odd little comedy bits that the characters have to lift the mood, because it's quite heavy, really. So there are some lighter moods in it. Not exactly funny, but so I do give it a 5. I ummed and ahed about that, but I do think those lighter moments are needed. They are needed, and I do give it a 5 out of 5. It's I'll just give you the synopsis.
Just see her glasses now. Can't see without
them. Can't see a picking thing. There we go.
Just don't know where she's looking. Just looking in this kind of vicinity.
I'm hoping it's there. Hi. A phone call from a long-lost lover would turn anyone's world upside down. She's in serious trouble and you're the only one who can help. Teresa Collins vanished without a trace from Myron Bolitar's life a few years ago, so her cry for help catches him off guard. She's in Paris and has lost everything. Her marriage, her child, and now she's the prime suspect in her ex-husband's murder case. Myron is fighting for answers in a foreign land where nothing and no one are what they seem. The hunt for the truth soon becomes a race to stay alive. There is no longer just a murder case, it is much, much more. Now this is from Dan Brown. Harlan Coben is the modern master of the hook and twist, luring you in on the first page only to shock you on the last. And that tells you everything there is to know about this book. The first page is sort of, although it may seem slightly mundane, it's quite intriguing, it's quite interesting. You want to carry on reading. And I read this in one night. I started reading it at about, 7, 8 o'clock, between 7 and 8 o'clock.
In the morning or?
On the night.
Oh, okay.
On the night. I think it was the Wednesday night, last Wednesday night. I read it, and that was it. I read it, and I didn't stop reading it.
Is it a page turner then?
Oh yes. I kept thinking I will stop in a minute and I'll settle down, and I couldn't. I thought, no, I want to see what's that. Oh, I've got to know. The chapters aren't that long. They're quite good. They're a nice length.
Yeah.
They're a nice length. So you're not going to get, oh God, there's too much in here. Nothing in this book sort of makes you think that wasn't necessary. That's why it's a 5. I will go and buy it. I got this book. I didn't buy it. I will be honest. I got this book from Pamela. Hi, Pam.
Hi, Pam.
I was down at Pam's because we went to see Cats in Space at 3 venues. And so I went to stay at Pamela's, and she's got quite a few books, so she asked if I wanted to rummage and see what I wanted to have. And this was one of them, and it's very, very good.
Good. Well, hopefully I'll be reading that soon. Right, so my review is, again, I'll put the cover just here, Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. It's so good. I do only give it a 4.5 stars out of 5 though. And it's just because I've never known anything like it. For a family to be this dysfunctional that you don't know that the main character is not there. So what it's about, and I don't want to give too much away again, and I say this all the time and I end up rambling on, but I try and put in as much detail as I can without actually giving the story away. But in a nutshell, it's about this family that go to their nan's house to celebrate the nan's 80th birthday because she's been told by a psychic that she's not going to live past 80, and it's her birthday on Halloween night. So they go to hers for her birthday, but she lives in a house that's just off the coast of Cornwall, and once the tide's out you can get to the causeway to get there. Once the tide's in, you're stranded then till like the tide comes back out, till they can get to the causeway. So they all go there for this her 80th birthday, just before the night of Halloween, and then the tide comes in earlier than planned, and slowly but surely the family members get killed off one by one on the night of the nan's 80th birthday. And the main character Daisy Darker, like Darker's a family name, she wonders why people aren't answering her, people don't speak to her, there's this big huge family secret. And slowly and surely, as they all die off, the nan is a storyteller, and she's wrote a book called Daisy Darker's Little Secret, and she wrote it when Daisy was a child, and Daisy's got a heart condition, so you find out that Daisy's always been the grandma's favourite, and Daisy's always really kind, always helps people, and the other family members are quite selfish and narcissistic. And the grandma writes this poem because one of the walls in her kitchen, I believe, is like a chalkboard, and she always doodles on there, or writes recipes, or just writes little haikus and things like that. But on the night of Halloween, as they find the grandma dead, there's this poem on the wall, and there's I believe there's 8 chapters, not 8 chapters, 8 paragraphs, and as the families die off, the paragraphs get crossed out, but then the grandma's body's gone. They don't know where she is. And she's got a big gash to the head's bleeding, they don't know where she is. So everyone dies off, all the family secrets come out, and then the plot twist comes. But all throughout the book you think, oh, this is what's going to happen, this is who's killed it, this is who's the serial killer. But then that person dies and you think, oh, okay, that was an oversight, I think they're the serial killer, and then that person dies. And then slowly but surely all these family secrets come out and you find out who the real serial killer is and why they were the serial killer. And then when Daisy Darker does actually have a little secret, it's not just a book. And all throughout Daisy Darker's life, the grandma said, the book's not about you, I just liked your name, so I gave the character your name. But it turns out the book doesn't outright say that it's about her, because the secret in the book isn't the same, but Daisy Darker does have a secret, and that comes to light at the end. And you're like, wow, how this family is so dysfunctional and so, you know, up their own arses that they can't see what's truly there and what's not. But yeah, they're all really selfish. I give the book 4 out of 5, and that's because it does take a while to get into the actual story, because obviously first of all you're learning about Daisy and that she's at this work, and the beginning chapter is about her journey to the nan's, the grandma's house, and then what she thinks of the dog and what she thinks of the grandma's house and being there. And the nan's got 80 clocks on the wall, and on the hour they all chime because she's got one for each year. And you find out about Daisy's medical condition, but the actual story about, you know, the family secrets and them dying off because you just want it to get to the nitty gritty does take a while to get to. I believe it's a few chapters, but yeah, the beginning of the story does take you down a rabbit hole because you find out about Daisy's heart condition. It's very wordy, but there are chapters that were written that didn't need to be in there. The story would still have made sense, and that's why I gave it 4 out of 5. Because the audiobook, I believe, was 10.5 hours in total, and they could have lost about an hour to an hour and a half over the story with the chapters that weren't needed to be in there. But yeah, I really loved it. I do recommend that you watch it, and I really love the cover of the book as well. So I hope any of you guys have read it. If you have, just drop your thoughts down below, or again message us on Instagram, Facebook or email, okay?
It's good. Yeah. I will actually probably
read it.
I will try and get it, because you know me.
I forgot to say, it's actually a retelling of Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, a modern day retelling of that.
So if any of you have seen that or read that, you've already got sort of a head start on things, but it's not what you think.
Yeah, it's not the same character that kills.
No, it's not the same.
But the plot is kind of the same. Family go to the island.
Yeah,
get killed off one by one.
Get killed off. Yeah.
But yeah, I really loved it.
Sounds good. Now we're going to be reviewing
Into the
Water by Paula Hawkins, and we're going to do this just a little bit different. Yes.
We both read the physical copy of this, by the way.
Yeah. And so the first thing I'm going to do,
Joe's going to read a little excerpt, then
I'm going to read this bit, the drowning pool. This is sort of crux to the rest of the book. Libby. Again, the men bind her again. Different this time. Left thumb to right toe, right thumb to left. The rope around her waist. This time they carry her into the water. Please, she starts to beg, because she's not sure that she can face it, the blackness and the cold. She wants to go back to a home that no longer exists, to a time when she and her aunt sat in front of the fire and told stories to one another. She wants to be in her bed in her cottage. She wants to be little again, to breathe in wood smoke and rose and the sweet warmth of her aunt's skin. Please. She sinks. By the time they drag her out the second time, her lips are the blue of a bruise and her breath is gone. For good.
Ooh, it's intriguing, isn't it? Now the little excerpt I'm going to read is actually part 1 of the book, so the book's in 4 parts and it's just the first chapter, but it gives an inclination of what will happen and the dysfunction of the family anyway. So 2015, Jules. There was something you wanted to tell me, wasn't there? What was it you were trying to say? I feel like I drifted out of this conversation a long time ago. I stopped concentrating. I was thinking about something else. Getting on with things. I wasn't listening and I lost the thread of it. Well, you've got my attention now. Only I can't help thinking I've missed out on some of the more salient points. When they came to tell me, I was angry. Relieved at first, because when two police officers turn up on your doorstep, just as you're looking for your train ticket, about to run out of the door to work, you fear the worst. I feared for the people I care about, my friends, my ex, the people I work with. But it wasn't about them, they said, it was about you. So I was relieved, just for a moment, and then they told me what had happened, what you'd done. They told me that you'd been in the water, and then I was furious and afraid. I was thinking about what I was going to say to you when I got there, how I knew you'd done this to spite me, to upset me, to frighten me, to disrupt my life, to get my attention, to drag me back to where you wanted me. And there you go now, you've succeeded. Here I am in the place I never wanted to come back to look after your daughter, to sort out your bloody mess.
That was the first part of Into the Water. The chapters aren't that long. The protagonist, Jules, has a sister, as you've realised, called Nell.
Yeah, Danielle. No,
Danielle,
for short,
yeah. And she has a daughter who has not really had a good relationship with her mum. And she, if I remember rightly, doesn't know her dad.
Yeah, she doesn't know who her dad is.
She doesn't know who her dad is. Her mum lied to her. But what's new? Jules and Nell had a big fallout. There was a misunderstanding. And if either of them had approached each other and spoke, that would have been sorted. And this misunderstanding had lasted years and years and years. Nell's apparently committed suicide.
Or so she thinks.
Or so she thinks. There is a woman who seems to know stuff. She gets Mickey taken out of her because they said she was a fraud and that, but she does seem to have some sort of psychic gift. But because she's got a police record, because she's been done for fraud, because, you know, nobody ever believes her. But Jules, well, Nell actually did believe her. Nell was like a journalist of sorts. She was doing a book, wasn't she?
About the drowning pool.
About the drowning
and
pool.
And the women that died there.
Yeah, there's quite a few through the ages that have died there. The police officer who ends up investigating this case, his mum died there. There's been several other people that had died there. So Nell decided she was going to look into it, and her niece's best friend, her aunt or sister had died in that pool, and she was bringing it up, which people didn't like. She was investigating it in her way. It's another one where there's a lot of involvement, a lot of confusion, in some ways some red herrings.
Yeah.
But they do get you. And there's quite a few things that you have to try and work out. Relationships between certain parties. What is that relationship? Who is this person that's making things look like suicide and they're not suicide? Is that a suicide? Was that not a suicide? It's just like that. You don't know till the end of the book, and even then at the end of the book, even when you find out, you're still questioning certain things. I liked it, but it does, I mean, it goes from one to another, and you don't get chapter this and chapter that. You get people's names, the month and the year, which is fine, but there's nothing wrong with the good old-fashioned chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. But it is good because you know it's about that person. There's one here, Erin, which is the
police officer.
The police officer, that's right, a policewoman. So it's her, you know, everything about her. what she's doing.
Or her point of view as well.
Exactly. Seeing things from that person's point of view. Jules decides she's going to look into it. And that obviously brings her into problems with the mother of the daughter who died and the police, and you know, she'd known them for years, and her own niece is against her really. But I found it really good. I would give it a 4 out of 5 though, because there were one or two things and I thought they could have been touched on more, or that could have been actually resolved. That, you know, even at the end of the book you're still thinking, what was the relationship between that one and that one and that one and that one, and you never really know.
And I don't know about you, but for me, I had to keep referring back to the characters at the beginning, because there were like 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of characters, or 4 families in there, and then you've got the other ladies that died in the pool, the drowning pool, which is where Nell's body was. But each of the family members has got like 1 or 2 people within that family that have passed away, and it all refers back to them. And then because as Joe mentioned, the chapters flick between people, I was like, right, who's this again? So I had to keep referring back to, like, when he mentioned Katie, when he mentioned Helen, when he mentioned Nell and Lena and Josh, I'm like, right, what family are they part of? So that was quite confusing. But I know a lot of books have a lot of characters, obviously, but
these were all protagonists.
And
it wasn't just one main one.
The way it was all intertwined, I did get a little bit confused at points as to who was who and what was what. And as Joe mentioned, what was the relationship, especially with like Patrick and Helen. I still don't understand fully what that relationship was.
No idea.
So just to preface, my understanding of this book is, obviously, the book starts off with Jules Abbott, who's been told that her sister Nell has died. They found her body in the drowning pool. But the excerpt that Joe read out was from Libby from 1863, who was one of the ladies...
Salem witches.
Yeah, one of the Salem witches, who died in the same drowning pool that Nell's body was in centuries later. And Nell was a journalist writing about the ladies that passed away in this drowning pool. As her body is fished out of the river, you know, they dig into her background and things. Obviously all these secrets come to light, and they find manuscripts that Nell's written and stories of people's lives within the village of Beckford, I think it is, which is near Newcastle or in Northumberland, somewhere like that. Because throughout the book, especially towards the end, they mention Newcastle and Gateshead a little bit, don't they?
They do.
And obviously all these secrets come to light, and Jules, you know, tries to ascertain what has happened to her sister, because she thinks that she's committed suicide, and then after a couple of chapters she's like, hang on, but Nell's relationship with the water, she used to love swimming, she'd never do that, and then she changes her mind, then she changes her mind again, and I'm like, what is going on? I'm getting so confused here. And then somebody else has passed away before Nell, Katie, who was another family member's daughter in the village,
her niece's best friend.
Her niece's best friend, and then you find out the relationship that mum had with Lena and Nell and the rest of the village as well, and then you find out that the police officer's mother was also one of the women that drowned in the pool. Or did she commit suicide, or was it of other causes? It's not quite ascertained, is it, as to what fully happened. So the story and the plot's interesting because it's literally about a journalist writing the stories of these women, because she believes that she can see the spirits and speak to the spirits, and the women are still there, trapped in that, you know, pool and that world where, what's it called, purgatory, where you're just stuck. And it's really interesting, but again, there's a lot of detail that still we don't have the answers to, or could have been closed off earlier on in the book. And I feel, for me, that's why I'm going to only give it 4 stars out of 5. I do love it, and it's really intriguing. It was intriguing to start with, but then towards the end I'm like, what's going on? And I had to keep a bookmark on the character pages, because it's about 7 pages in. The people of Beckford. Sean Townsend is the detective inspector, and then Erin's a detective sergeant. So you've got that list of families, and then you've got the other characters that aren't quite part of a family, but they're lodged in there somewhere. And then also not forgetting, so Libby Seaton drowned in the pool in 1679, and Ward drowned in the pool in 1920. Lauren Slater, who was Sean Townsend's mum, drowned in the pool in 1983. And then it's just so confusing. So there's like 3, 6, 10, 13, 17 and other characters. And
but these are the main protagonists.
Yeah,
this
17
is the thing.
people.
Yeah. It is good though, but
like
I give it a 4, mainly because there's
4.
certain parts that I think could have been finished. You could have
Sooner.
Yeah, you sort of end up having to work it out yourself, whose relationships whose. It's quite confusing, but a good book, a good read.
Yeah, I liked it. I'll definitely read other Paula Hawkins novels because it was gripping and it was a thriller, and we like that kind of story. Yeah. But there was just the thickness of the book could have been taken down a little bit. But I was confused with how intermingled it was as well. And I'm not a thick person. I mean, I can read a book and I've got quite a complicated story of my own. But it kept me up at night, I tell you that, because even though you're reading it and you sometimes I was getting confused, the chapters are interesting, I just couldn't figure out who was who, especially towards the middle of the book when you know all these characters have been introduced and you're just trying to put your mind at ease as to who's what again. And I didn't want to have to keep referring back to the character page because I'm not no can remember, but there was that many and the chapters are really short, so some characters only have like a page and a half in that block, and then they wouldn't be referred to again for quite a while, and you're like, hang on, who's this person again? So that's why.
But good read, and we do recommend.
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, let us know what you think if you read it at the bottom. Now, I'm going to talk about some books I'm going to be reading
in the next few weeks.
And one or two books that I'm going to be reviewing over the next few weeks. Now, I got these from the charity shop up by me, and they're only 50p each. This one, I don't think it's even been read, so it looks brand new to me. Now, those that know, Stella Rimington is the ex-chief, the ex-head of MI5, and this looks quite good. M.W. Craven says races along a breakneck speed, not one to be missed. Now, I know. The synopsis is: Police Officer Harry Bristow made one mistake. He took a bribe to let a man he knew as Igor into Britain. Now he's paying for it. Coerced by this secret into working for Igor, and it does have those, who has become a new man, Peter Robinson, MP. But CIA analyst Manon Tyler has just arrived in London, and amid rumours of a Russian illegal deeply embedded in Britain, she is starting field work. Can she master her newfound skills in time to stop the takeover of Britain's levers of power from within? It was obviously going to be like a spy novel because it's Stella Rimington, but it does look quite intriguing. I am going to give it a go because I like all that sort of stuff.
Can't you tell there's a theme here?
Yeah, big theme here. The next one sold 19 million copies by Peter James. I've never read his books before, and it says Need You Dead, so that's a really nice title, isn't it? And the synopsis: some killers are closer than you think.
No.
Lorna Belling, desperate to escape the marriage from hell, falls for the charms of man who promises her the earth. But as Lorna soon finds, life seldom follows the plans you've made. A chance photograph on a client's mobile phone changes everything for her. When the body of a woman is found in a bath in Brighton, Detective Sergeant Roy Grace is called to the scene. At first it looks an open and shut case with a clear prime suspect. Then other scenarios begin to present themselves, each of them tantalisingly plausible, until in a sudden turn of events, the case becomes more twisted and dangerous than Grace could ever have imagined. Lee Child says Peter James is one of the best British crime writers. So,
Crime again?
Yeah, I'm going to give this a go. What makes a killer? I'm very intrigued.
All these are the same theme, Joe.
I know they are. It's giving you a little idea.
At least mine are going to be a mixture.
Yeah, yours are going to be a mixture. Now, this is called Everything But the Truth by Gillian McAllister. And you've got "We're all hiding something" is the sideline. It all started with the email. Rachel didn't even mean to look. She loves Jack, she's pregnant with their child, she trusts him. But now she's seen it, she can't undo that moment, or the chain of events it has set in motion. Why has Jack been lying about his past? Just what exactly is he hiding? And doesn't Rachel have a right to know the truth at any cost? Paula Daly, best-selling author of The Mistake, says tense and compelling. Holly Overton, best-selling author of Baby Doll, says you won't be able to put it down. So this sounds like a book that I would definitely read, and would probably read it all night.
Well, they sound intriguing, all the same thing. At least the mine are a bit different. So I'm actually going to start reading tonight The Book of Night by Holly Black, and this is one that Joe's read that I said I wouldn't read, but Joe's obviously made me read it now because she took me around it because she said it's really good, so I'll be reading that. I'm assuming you've listened to Joe's review, so you know what it's about. Don't need to read the synopsis. I'll be starting this tonight, so that's not a crime. The next one, after Holly Black's Book of Night, I'm actually going to start reading as well. I've been mentioning this in my last few videos. Is Life of Pi by Jan Martel. Just quickly read the synopsis for you. So, one boy, one boat, one tiger. After the tragic sinking of a cargo ship, a solitary lifeboat remains bobbing on the wild blue Pacific. The only survivors from the wreck are a 16-year-old boy named Pi, a hyena, a broken leg, a female orangutan, and a 450-pound Royal Bengal tiger. The scene is set for one of the most extraordinary works of fiction in recent years. I've never watched the film either, so I actually don't know what this is about, apart from
what the synopsis says.
The synopsis says. So this is new to me as much as it is to some of yous out there, but I can't wait to read that. I know it's really interesting, but it's the winner of the Man Booker Prize, sold 7 million copies worldwide, so that's interesting. And then this one is similar to the theme that Joe's just mentioned, crime, mystery and thriller, and it's called The Taking of Annie Thorne by C.J. Tudor. I got this on Vinted for like £2, so I'm going to start reading these. And it says, then and now. Then, one night my little sister went missing. There were searches, appeals. Everyone thought the worst, and then miraculously she came back. She couldn't or wouldn't say what happened, but she wasn't the same afterwards. She wasn't my Annie. Sometimes my own little sister scared me to death. Now, the email arrives in my inbox. I know what happened to your sister, and it's happening again. J.P. Delaney says it's a dark, compelling and unsettling thriller, and the Daily Mail confirms Tudor as Britain's female Stephen King. So I can't wait to start reading that. She's actually really good. She's the author of a book called The Chalk Man, which is a mystery thriller as well, like a horror type. So I can't wait to read that. And this is a Penguin fiction book. I believe the hardback of this book's got a black cover instead of the red, so it's really dark and compelling, but the paperback version's red, I believe. I don't know if that's international in the UK, but no, I think I've seen these in Waterstones and the hardback's got a black cover, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this is terrific in every way.
The little mannequin made out of newspaper with the blood on it looks very compelling.
It is. Do you want to read it afterwards?
Of course.
Of course she does, because she knows. Well, yeah, they're the 3 I'll be reading this month. I don't believe I can read any more. If it's to
You're doing well to be reading them under the circumstances.
Yeah, if it's the fact that I don't get to read the 3rd one, because this wasn't ever in the pipeline, but I picked it up and I really want to read it that much, that it's going into the pipeline now. But if it's only these 2, then I'll be happy with that, because these were the 2 I originally wanted to plan, and I've got a busy August anyway. I'm not going to mention any more because September's, as you know, our crime fiction month, although I think every month is crime fiction for Joanne. September's our Agatha Christie murder mystery month as well. So
hold on, I did the Cats in Space one this month. That wasn't murder mystery.
One book out of about how many? So yeah, these are our upcoming books that we'll be doing in the next few weeks. If anything changes, I'll put the updates on the social media. So these are the actual 2 I wanted to read with this one thrown in. So I'll be doing 3 and Jill will be doing 3 as well. If I don't get to read this one, I'll let you know and I'll push it back to after September.
But you could actually put it in with September, couldn't you?
If it's the same kind of thing, I'll have a read of some reviews online. But yeah, that's what I'll be reading.
And of course, September being in a murder mystery month, our plan is that we will do Agatha Christie book.
Yeah,
and murder mystery J. Gill one, and another murder mystery. So it'll be like that throughout September, except for I think it's a Saturday when I won't be here because I'm going to see Cats in Space again on there. Go onto their website for the tour and music and book, and it's www.catsinspace.co.uk. You don't want to miss out. That concert was amazing. There, guys, I've done a plug for you. So I'm going to be reviewing in the murder month. I've decided Murder in Real Life, because I reviewed the first one, Murder Thy Neighbour, but I didn't review the second book in this. And the other one is Ramp Up to Murder. Again, James Patterson. True. They actually happened and he's just writing about them. So they'll be good for the murder mystery month, won't they?
Yeah.
And obviously I'm going to be listening to Agatha Christie, Dead Man's Folly, read by Hercule Poirot himself, David Suchet. And it's really good. I've listened to this God knows how many times. Yeah, he's got a great, I love listening to this. It's very good. And we'll also be reviewing J. Gill's books. Unfortunately, I still can't get book 5. As I understand it, it's only over in America. There's a problem with it being over here, so I can't even order it.
Okay.
And I can't get hold of him to find out. So we can only review the 4 books, but they're fine because they're all standalone books.
Yeah.
But it'll be great to review the 4 together, individually but together. And that's it.
I haven't decided what I'll be reading yet. So I've got a hardback of Agatha Christie, The First Lady of Crime. Doesn't have a dust sleeve on, but I was given this by my friend Joe. No, there's a picture. I was given this by my friend Joe, who I used to work with. And this is all about Agatha Christie. Doesn't actually have the stories in there, but it's about Agatha Christie's life. So I don't know if I'll be putting that in there because it's not actually a murder mystery book. It's about Agatha Christie. So I think I'll skip that one. And then I've got Agatha Christie's Death on the Nile, which is a classic Hercule Poirot mystery. I think this is a Tommy and Tuppence one. This is Agatha Christie's Posthumous Fate. Yeah. I do love Tommy and Tuppence as well. I've got Agatha Christie's The Body in the Library,
which is Miss Marple.
Yeah, and then I've got Agatha Christie's Curtain, which is Poirot's Last Case, and this is one of the vintage copies this was from. It was 70p, so I bet you can imagine what year it was published in. 1975, 15 years before I was even born. So yeah, that was 70p to buy. If you buy that now, it's about $7.99. That's inflation for you, but let's not get started on that one. This is a Tommy and Tuppence mystery again, and this is Agatha Christie's N or M. And then I've got Agatha Christie's Murder in Mesopotamia. Again, another one of my favourites, and another one that was
made into a film, and it was Appointment with Death.
Yeah.
The film was called Appointment with Death.
But in the Poirot series there is one called Murder in Mesopotamia. Yeah. This was 95p to buy, not for resale in Canada, and it was published in, oh god, this is one of their mass market paperbacks where the font is tiny. Published in 1981 by Pan Books Limited. So yeah, again 9 years before I was born. Yeah. These type of ones I actually don't like to read. Not because I don't like the content, obviously the content's the same. It's that kind of books, look how tiny the font is.
You're asking the wrong person.
Look how tiny the font is. It's not like these ones here, look, let me show you these.
Actually, yeah.
You know, this proper
I
paragraphs,
can just see,
it's not just all words.
Yeah.
Everything, but this is like...
Yeah.
I've never liked reading books like this, so I don't think I'll be reading these ones again. So it's going to be between these 4, and obviously I've got a couple of J. Gill as well. Yeah. And then I don't have anything else, so I think I'll do 2 Agatha Christie, 2 J. Gill, so that'll be 4 for me in the month of September.
Right, and I'll be doing me J. Gill, me other 2 J. Gill, and a couple of Agatha Christie, listening to Dead Man's Folly, but Mum's got some Agatha Christie, so I will read one of them and do the review, and of course me James Patterson, because they are criminal ones.
Cool.
Definitely criminal ones.
Well,
we've waffled on, haven't we? We've
quite a
waffled
long
on
time.
enough. So put any, reasonable, no swear words, no rude stuff. But if you can comment underneath,
or even some suggestions will be good.
no rude ones, please. We don't accept rude ones. They'll be deleted.
Thank you guys for listening. We hope if you want to read along with us for the month of September for the murder mystery, you're more than welcome. We haven't got anything planned specifically as we'll be reading this on this week. But if you do want to read some murder mysteries, comment down below and we can let you know what we're reading and we can read them along with you as well. So that's that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything else for us to discuss. Sorry we've waffled on for quite a while. We just got a lot to discuss this month because we've got obviously the theme of September coming up, what we'll be doing in August and what we've just read, and I'm trying to get everything organised so I don't read too much for August and then I'll go into September. That's why I only want to read the 2 or 3 because I've got a busy August.
Yes, you have.
And you have.
Yeah. We are also contemplating going to the Agatha Christie
Festival down in Torquay.
Yeah, we'll let you know. We will be going at some point, but we may be just for the
one day or
for the one
not
day.
Overnight. Yeah, I'm not sure yet.
We will do, and we'll let you
Yeah.
know. Maybe we might be able to do a book review while we're there.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay.
Thank you for watching, guys.
Bye.
I've never read the film. I was gonna say.